First Chronicles chapter 11. All the people of Israel went to David at Hebron. Look, we are your own flesh and blood. Even when Saul was our king, you led Israel in battle. And Yahweh your God said to you, you are the man who shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and shall be ruler over them. So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and David made a covenant with them at Hebron in the presence of Yahweh, and he became king of Israel, just as Yahweh had promised through Samuel. David, with all the Israelites, attacked Jerusalem, that is to say, Jebus. There lived the Jebusites. They said to David, you will not get in here. But David captured the fortress of Zion, and it became the city of David. David said, the first man to attack the Jebusites shall become leader and commander of the army. Joab, son of Zeruiah, attacked first and became commander. David went to live in the fortress, and because of this, it was called the city of David. He then built a wall around the city, and the Millo, as well as the surrounding wall, while Joab restored the rest of the city. David grew greater and greater, and Yahweh Sabaoth was with him. These are the famous warriors of David, those who, during his rule, struggled with him and with all Israel to make him king as Yahweh had promised. This is the list of David's warriors. Jashobeam, the Hakmonite, leader of the three. One day he wielded his battle axe against 300 whom he killed at one time. After him there was Eleazar, son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of the three champions. He was with David at Pasdamim, where the Philistines had gathered to attack. There was a field full of barley there. When the Israelites started to run away, Eleazar took a stand in the middle of the field, defended it, and fought the Philistines. So Yahweh brought about a great victory. The 30 leading soldiers went down to David at the rock near the cave of Adullam, while a company of Philistines was encamped in the valley of the Rephaim. David was then on a fortified hill, and a group of Philistines had occupied Bethlehem. David sighed, oh, if someone would fetch me a drink of water from the well by the gate of Bethlehem. At this, the three, forcing their way through the Philistine camp, drew water from the well by the gate of Bethlehem, and bringing it away, presented it to David. But David would drink none of it, and poured it out as an offering to Yahweh. God keep me, he said, from doing this. Am I to drink the blood of these men? For at the risk of their lives they brought it. And so he would not drink it. Such were the deeds of the three. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was leader of the 30. He fought with his spear against 300 whom he killed, winning himself a name among the 30. He was the most famous of the 30 and became their captain, but he was not as famous as the three. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a hero from Kabzeel, did many brave deeds. He killed the 2 Ariels of Moab. One snowy day, he went down and killed the lion in a pit. He also killed an Egyptian, a huge man, 7.5 feet tall. The Egyptian had a gigantic spear in his hand, but Benaiah attacked him with a club, snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand, and killed the man with it. Such were the deeds of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, winning him a name among the 30 leading soldiers. He was famous among the 30, but he was not as famous as the 3. David put him in command of his bodyguard. The other valiant warriors were Asahel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem, Shamoth from Harod, Heles the Pelonite, Ira, son of Iked, from Tekoa, Abiezer from Anathoth, Sibekai from Husha, Eli from Aho, Maharai from Netophah, Heled, son of Bana, from Netophah, Ittai, son of Ribai, from Gibeah of Benjamin, Benaiah from Pirathon, Hurai from the valleys near Gash, Abiel from Beth Arabah, Asmaveth from Baharum, Eliabah from Shalbon, Benehashem from Gison, Jonathan, son of Shagi, from Harar, Ahiam, son of Sakar, from Harar, Eliphelet, son of Ur, Hefer, from Mekera, Ahijah, the Pelonite, Hesro, from Carmel, Narai, son of Esbai, Joel, the brother of Nathan, Miba, son of Hagri, Selek, the Ammonite, Naharai from Beeroth, arm-bearer to Joab, son of Seruiah, Ira from Jatir, Gareb from Jatir, Uriah the Hittite, Sabar, son of Ahilai, Adina, son of Shisa, a leading member of the tribe of Reuben, with his own group of 30 soldiers, Hanan, son of Makkah, Joshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah from Ashtaroth, Shammah and Jael, sons of Hotham the Arorite, Jediel son of Shimri, and Joha his brother, the Tishite, Eliel the Machavite, Jeribai and Joshabiah, sons of Elnam, Ithma the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jasiel from Zobah. First Chronicles chapter 12. The following men came to David in Ziklag, where he had gone to escape from King Saul. They were valiant and reliable warriors, members of the tribe of Benjamin, to which Saul belonged. They were archers who could use either the right or the left hand, both in slinging stones and in shooting arrows with the bow. They were Ahiezer the leader, and Joash, son of Hashemar from Gibeah, Jesiel and Pelet, sons of Asmaveth, Barak and Jehu from Anathoth, Ismaiah from Gibeon, a famous soldier and one of the leaders of the 30, Jeremiah, Jehaziel, Johanan, and Josabad from Gederoth, Elusai, Jerimoth, Bealiah, Shemariah, Shephatiah from Harif, Elkanah, Yeshia, Asarel, Joiser, Jashobim, Korahites, Joelah, Sabadiah, sons of Jeroham from Gedor. Some Gadites also joined David's troops when he was at the desert fort. They were valiant fighting men and experts with shield and spear. They were as fierce-looking as lions and as quick as mountain deer. Asa was the leader, Obadiah second, Eliab third, Mishmana fourth, Jeremiah fifth, Atal 6th, Eliel 7th, Johanan 8th, Elizabeth 9th, Jeremiah 10th, Macbanal 11th. These sons of Gad were troop commanders, each one in command of a unit. The junior officers placed over 100 and senior officers over 1,000. These are the men who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it overflowed its course and scattered all the people who lived on its banks, both east and west. Those men from the tribes of Benjamin and Judah came to David at the fort. David went to meet them and said, "If you come to me as friends to give me help, then I am ready to join you. But if it is to betray me to my enemies, when I have done no wrong, then may the God of our ancestors see and punish you." Then God's Spirit took control of one of them, Amasai, leader of the 30, and he called out, "Yours we are, David. We are with you, son of Jesse. Peace to you, peace to him that helps you, for God is on your side." David welcomed them and made them officers in his army. Some people from the tribe of Manasseh went over to David's side as he was setting out with the Philistines to fight Saul. But David did not help the Philistines because their chiefs, after consultation, sent him back to Ziklag. They were afraid he would betray them to his former master Saul. He was on his way to Ziklag when these Manassites joined him: Adnah, Josabad, Jediel, Michael, Josabad, Elihu, Silethal, commanders of thousands in Manasseh. They were reinforcements for David and his troops, since they were all outstanding soldiers and became officers in the army. Indeed, new men joined David's forces almost every day, so that his camp grew into an enormous camp. These are the figures from the list of experienced warriors who joined David at Hebron to transfer Saul's kingship to him in accordance with the command of Yahweh. Sons of Judah carrying shield and spear, 6,800 men equipped for battle. Of the sons of Simeon, 7,100 well-trained men. Of the sons of Levi, 4,600. In addition to Jehoiada in command of the Aaronites with 3,700 men. Zadok, a young and able fighter and commanders of his family. Of the sons of Benjamin, 3,000 kinsmen of Saul, most of them hitherto in the service of the house of Saul. Of the sons of Ephraim, 20,800 men, famous in their families. Of the half tribe of Manasseh, 18,000 men, assigned by name to go and proclaim David king. Of the sons of Issachar, expert in knowing the time when Israel should take action and the way to do it, 200 leaders and all their kinsmen under their command. Of Zebulun, 50,000 men fit for service, ready to fight with weapons of every kind. Of Naphtali, 1,000 commanders, and with them 37,000 men armed with shield and spear. Of the Danites, 28,600 men ready for battle. Of Asher, 40,000 men fit for service, ready for battle. From Transjordania, 120,000 men of Reuben, Gad and the half tribe of Manasseh with weapons of every kind. All these warriors ready for battle came to Hebron willingly to proclaim David king over all Israel. And the rest of Israel too were all of one mind in making David king. For 3 days they stayed there, eating and drinking with David, for their kinsmen had sent food for them. Moreover, from as far as Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, their neighbors brought provisions by donkey and camel, mule and ox, flour cakes, fig cakes, bunches of raisins, wine, oil, quantities of oxen and sheep, for there was joy in Israel. 1 Chronicles chapter 13. David consulted with the commanders of thousands, of hundreds, and with all the leaders. To the whole assembly of Israel, David said, "If you agree, and if Yahweh our God wills it so, we will send messengers to the rest of our brothers throughout the territories of Israel, and also to the priests and Levites in their towns and nearby lands, and tell them to gather here with us. We will then go and get the ark of our God, for in the time of Saul we neglected it." They agreed to this, for in the eyes of all the people it was the right thing to do. So David gathered all the people together from the Shihor of Egypt to the pass of Hamath to bring the ark of God from Kiriath Jearim. Then David and all Israel went up to Bala to Kiriath Jearim in Judah to bring up the ark of God, which bears the name of Yahweh, who is seated on the cherub. At Abinadab's house they placed the ark of God on a new cart. Uzzah and Ahio were leading the cart. David and all Israel danced before God with all their might, singing to the accompaniment of lyres, harps, tambourines, cymbals, and trumpets. When they came to the threshing floor of the javelin, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah stretched out his hand and took hold of the ark. Then the anger of Yahweh blazed out against Uzzah, and he killed him, because he has laid his hand on the ark, and he died there in the presence of God. David was disturbed that Yahweh had punished Uzzah in anger, and so that place has been called Perez Uzzah ever since. David went in fear of God that day and said, "How can I bring the ark of God to my home?" So David did not take the ark home to the city of David, but took it to the house of a man named Obed-Edom of Gath. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house for 3 months, and Yahweh blessed the family of Obed-Edom and everything that belonged to him. 1 Chronicles chapter 14. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David with cedar wood and stone masons and carpenters to build him a palace. David then knew that Yahweh had established him as king over Israel, and that for the sake of his people Israel, his kingdom was being made prosperous. At Jerusalem, David took more wives and fathered more sons and daughters. These are the names of the children born to him in Jerusalem: Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ephar, Elishua, Elpelet, Nogab, Nopheg, Japhia, Elishama, Biliada, Eliphelet. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king of all Israel, they all marched up to capture him. On hearing this, David went out to meet them. When the Philistines arrived, they began plundering the valley of the Rephaim. David consulted Yahweh, "Shall I attack the Philistines? Will you turn them over to me?" Yahweh answered him, "Attack. I will turn them over to you." The Philistines went up to Baal Perasim and there David defeated them. David said, God has broken through them by my hand, just as water breaks through a dam. For this reason, that place was called Baal Perasim. They had left their gods behind them there, and David ordered them to be burned. Again the Philistines started plundering in the valley. David again consulted God, and God answered, Do not attack them from the front. Go around and get ready to attack them from the other side near the balsam trees. When you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the balsam trees, launch your attack, for God is going out ahead of you to defeat the army of the Philistines. David did as God had ordered, and they defeated the Philistine army from Gibeon as far as Gezer. David became famous everywhere, and Yahweh made every nation afraid of him. 1 Chronicles chapter 15. David put up buildings for himself in the city of David and prepared a place for the ark of God, and he put up a tent for it. Then he said, Only the Levites shall move the ark of God, since Yahweh has chosen them to carry the ark and to serve him always. Then David gathered all Israel together in Jerusalem to bring the ark of God up to the place he had prepared for it. David called together the sons of Aaron and the sons of Levi. Of the sons of Kohath, Uriel the chief and his 120 kinsmen. Of the sons of Merari, Asaiah and his 220 kinsmen. Of the sons of Gershom, Joel and his 130 kinsmen. Of the sons of Elisapha, Shemaiah and his 200 kinsmen. Of the sons of Hebron, Eliel and 80 kinsmen. Of the sons of Uzziel, Aminadab and his 112 kinsmen. David called in the priests Zadok and Abiathar, and the Levites Uriel, Asaiah, Joel, Shemaiah, Eliel, and Aminadab. He told them, You are the heads of families of the Levites. Purify yourselves, you and your brothers, and bring the ark of Yahweh, the God of Israel, up to the place I have prepared for it. The first time you were not there to carry it, and Yahweh our God punished us for not consulting him as we should have done. So the priests and the Levites purified themselves to bring up the ark of Yahweh, the God of Israel, and the Levites carried the ark of God with the poles on their shoulders, as Moses had ordered according to the command of Yahweh. David then told the leaders of the Levites to assign duties for some Levites to sing and play a joyful tune with their various musical instruments, harps and lyres and cymbals. The Levites then appointed Heman son of Joel, Asaph son of Berechiah, one of his brothers, Ethan son of Cushaiah, one of their Merarite kinsmen, and with them next in rank their kinsmen as keepers of the gate, Zechariah son of Jasiel, Shemiramoth, Jehiel, Unni, Eliab, Benaiah, Maaseiah, Mattithiah, Eliphelehu, Miknelath, Obedom, Jael, Heman, Asaph and Ethan the cantors were to clash the cymbals of bronze. Zechariah, Jasiel, Shemiramoth, Jehiel, Unni, Eliab, Maaseiah and Benaiah were to play the keyed harp. Mattithiah, Eliphelehu, Mikneiah, Obededom, Jael and Asasiah, giving the beat, were to play the octave lyre. Kenaniah was chosen to be in charge of the transportation, because he was very skillful at doing these things. Berechiah and Elkanah were to be gatekeepers to the ark. The priests Shebaniah, Joshaphat, Nethanel, Amasal, Zechariah, Benaiah, and Eleazar were to sound the trumpet before the ark of God. Obed-Edom and Jehiah were to be gatekeepers to the ark. So David, with the leaders of Israel and the commanders of thousands, went to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from Obed-Edom's house with great rejoicing. And while God was securing the Levites who carried the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, they sacrificed 7 bulls and 7 sheep. David was wearing a robe of fine linen, like all the Levites who carried the ark, as well as the cantors and Kenaniah, the officer in charge of its transportation. David also wore the linen. Thus all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh with shouts of joy to the sound of the horn, trumpets, and cymbals, making music with harp and lyre. Now, as the ark of the covenant of Yahweh entered the city of David, Michal, the daughter of Saul, was watching from the window and saw King David dancing and leaping with joy, and she despised him. 1 Chronicles chapter 16. They brought the ark of God in and put it inside the tent that David had prepared for it. And they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings to God. And when David had finished offering the sacrifices, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh. He then distributed to all the Israelites, men and women, a loaf of bread each, a piece of roasted meat, and a raisin cake. David appointed some of the Levites to minister before the ark of Yahweh, to commemorate, thank, and praise Yahweh, the God of Israel. First Asaph, second Zechariah, then Uzziel, Shemiramoth, Jehiel, Mattithiah, Eliab, Benaiah, Obed-Edom, Jael. These were to play the harp and the lyre, while Asaph was to clash the cymbals. The priests Benaiah and Jahaziel were to keep sounding the trumpet before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. That day, David entrusted this song of praise to Asaph and his brethren. Give thanks to Yahweh, call upon his name, proclaim his deeds to the peoples. Sing to him, sing his praise, tell of all his marvels. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts that seek Yahweh rejoice. Seek Yahweh and his strength. Seek his face untiringly. Recall the wondrous deeds he has done, his miracles, the judgments from his mouth. Descendants of Israel, his servant, sons of Jacob, his chosen one. He is Yahweh our God. He rules over all the earth. He remembers his covenant forever, his promises for many generations. The covenant he made with Abraham, his promise to Isaac, that he gave as law to Jacob, an everlasting covenant for Israel. For he said, I give you a land, Canaan, your own possession. When they were easily counted, few in number, strangers to the country, they wandered from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another. But he let no one oppress them, and punished kings for their sake. Do not touch my anointed ones. Do not harm my prophets. Sing to Yahweh, all the earth. Proclaim his salvation day after day. Tell his glory among the nations, and his wonders to every people. Yahweh is great and highly to be praised, more fearsome than all gods. Nothingness are all the gods of the nations. Yahweh himself made the heavens. Splendor and majesty go before him. praise and joy are in his sanctuary. Give to Yahweh, families of the peoples, give to Yahweh glory and praise. Give to Yahweh the glory due his name. Bring out offerings and bow before him. Worship Yahweh in his sacred ornaments. Be quiet before him, all the earth, firm as he made the world, not to be moved. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Say among the nations, Yahweh is King. Let the sea thunder and all that it holds. Let the fields exult and all that is in them. Let all the trees cry out for joy and rejoice before Yahweh, for he comes to rule the earth. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good. His love endures forever. Say, save us, O God, our Savior. Gather us and deliver us from among the nations, that we may give thanks to your holy name and glory in praising you. Blessed be Yahweh, the God of Israel, from all eternity and forever. And let all the people say, Amen, Alleluia. David left there before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, Asaph and his brother Levites, with the permanent charge of the worship that was held before the ark, as each day's ritual required. He left also Obed-Edom with his 68 kinsmen. Obed-Edom, son of Jeduthun, and Hosa were to be keepers of the gate. He left Zadok the priest and the priests, his kinsmen, before the holy tent of Yahweh to the high place in Gibeon to offer burnt offerings to Yahweh regularly, morning and evening, on the altar for burnt offerings, and to carry out all that is written in the law of Yahweh laid down for Israel. With them were Heman and Jeduthun and the rest of those who were chosen and assigned by name to give praise to God. For his love is everlasting. With them were Heman and Jeduthun, who were to sound the trumpets, cymbals, and musical instruments, accompanying the hymns to God. The sons of Jeduthun were given charge of the gate. Then all went away, each to his own house, and David returned to bless his household. 1 Chronicles chapter 17. Once David was living in his palace, he said to the prophet Nathan, Here I am living in a house of cedar, while the ark of Yahweh's covenant dwells beneath a tent cloth. Nathan said to David, Do all that is in your mind, for God is with you. But that very night Yahweh said to Nathan, Go and tell my servant David, Yahweh says this, You yourself are not to build a temple for me to live in. I have never lived in a temple from the day I brought Israel out until today, but went from tent to tent, from one shelter to another. In all my journeying with the whole of Israel, did I say to any one of the rulers of Israel, whom I had appointed as shepherds of my people, Why do you not build me a temple of cedar wood? This you must say to my servant David. This is the word of Yahweh, Sabaoth. I took you from following the sheep to be leader of my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have defeated all your enemies as you advanced. I will make your name as great as the name of the greatest on earth. I will provide a place for my people Israel. I will plant them there, and they shall live in that place and never be disturbed again, nor shall the wicked ever again oppress them as they did in the days when I appointed judges over my people Israel. For now I will subdue all their enemies. Moreover, I tell you that I will build you a house, and when your days are ended and you must die and be buried with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring after you, one of your own sons, and I will make his kingdom strong. He will build a temple for me, and I will make his throne firm forever. I will be a father to him, and he a son to me. I will not withdraw my support from him, as I withdrew it from Saul. I will put him in charge of my people, and his kingdom shall be established forever. Nathan told David accordingly all these words and this vision. King David then went in and, seated before Yahweh, said, I am not worthy of what you have already done for me, Yahweh God, nor is my family. Yet in your eyes, O God, this is still not enough, for you have made a promise for my descendants, reaching into the distant future, and you have looked on me as a great man. What more can I say to you? For you know your servant David. You yourself have done this because you have looked kindly on your servant, and you wanted to show your own greatness. O Yahweh, there is none like you, no God except you alone, that we have ever heard of. Is there another people on the earth like your people Israel, whom you rescued from slavery in Egypt, to make them your own people, giving yourself a name for great and terrible things, by driving nations out before your people, whom you rescued from Egypt? You made your people Israel your own people forever, and you, Yahweh, have become their God. Now, Yahweh, let the promise you have made to me and to my descendants be always kept. May this promise hold good, and your name be exalted forever. May they say, Yahweh Sabaoth, the God of Israel, is God for Israel, and let my descendants be established before you forever. O my God, you have just made known to me that you will build me a house. Because of this, I have to offer this prayer in your presence. Yes, Yahweh, you are God indeed, and you have made this kind promise to me. Be pleased then to bless my house, so that they may remain forever in your favor. You, Yahweh, are the one who blesses, and your blessing will rest on them forever. 1 Chronicles chapter 18. After this, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them, taking Gath and its outlying villages. He also defeated the Moabites. The Moabites became subject to David, paying him taxes. Hamath, David defeated Hadadezer, king of Zobah, who was trying to gain control of the territory by the river Euphrates. David captured 1,000 chariots, 7,000 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers from him. David hamstrung all the chariot teams, keeping only 100 of them. The Arameans of Damascus came to the help of Hadadezer, king of Zobah, but David killed 22,000 men of the Arameans. Then David established governors in Aram of Damascus, and the Arameans became subject to David, paying him taxes. Wherever David went, Yahweh gave him victory. David took the golden shields of the gods of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. From Tifar and from Kun, towns belonging to Hadadezer, David took a great quantity of bronze. With this, Solomon would make a bronze sea and the bronze pillars and furnishings. When Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadadezer, king of Zoab, he sent his son Hadoram to King David to greet him and to congratulate him on fighting and defeating Hadadezer, since Hadadezer was the enemy of Tou. Hadoram brought articles of every kind in gold, silver, and bronze, which King David also consecrated to Yahweh, together with the silver and gold he had taken from all the nations, Edom, Moab, Ammonites, Philistines, Amalek. After that, David defeated the Edomites in the valley of Salt, 18,000 of them. He imposed governors on Edom, and all the Edomites became subject to David. Wherever David went, Yahweh gave him victory. David ruled over all Israel, administering law and justice to all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was in command of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, were priests. Shavsha was secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was in command of the Kerethites and Pelethites. David's sons were the chief assistants of the king. 1 Chronicles chapter 19. Afterwards, Nahash, king of the Ammonites, died, and his son Hanun became king. David thought, I will show kindness to Hanun, son of Nahash, since his father was kind to me. And David sent messengers with his condolences on his father's death. But when David's servants reached Hanun in the land of the Ammonites to present these condolences, the Ammonite leaders said to Hanun, Do you think David means to honor your father when he sends you messengers of sympathy? On the contrary, he has sent them here as spies to explore the land so that he can conquer it. Hanun had David's servants seized, shaved their beards, cut their clothes halfway up to the hips, and sent them away. As soon as David was told what had happened to these men, he sent someone to meet them, for the men were too ashamed to return home. And he said, Stay in Jericho until your beards have grown again, and come back then. The Ammonites saw that they had made David their enemy, and so Hanun and the Ammonites sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire chariots and charioteers from the Arameans of Upper Mesopotamia, of Makkah, and of Soba. They hired 32,000 chariots, also the king of Makkah with his army. These came and encamped before Medeba, while the Ammonites came out from all their cities and got ready to fight. When David heard this, he sent Joab with the whole army and the warriors. The Ammonites marched out and took up their positions at the entrance to the town. But the kings who had come remained in the open country. Joab, seeing that he had to fight on two fronts, to his front and to his rear, chose the best fighters of the Israelites and drew them up in line facing the Arameans. He placed the rest of the troops under the command of his brother Abishai to face the Ammonites. He said to him, If the Arameans prove too strong for me, you shall come to my help. If the Arameans prove too strong for me, you shall come to my help. If the Ammonites prove too strong for you, I will come to yours. Take courage and fight hard for the sake of our people and the towns of our God, and may Yahweh do as he thinks right. Joab and the force with him advanced to attack the Arameans, who fled before him. When the Ammonites saw that the Arameans were running away, they too fled before Abishai, Joab's brother, and withdrew into their town. Then Joab came back to Jerusalem. Seeing that they had been defeated by Israel, the Arameans sent messengers and mobilized the Arameans from beyond the river, with Shophak, commander of Hadadezer's army, at their head. News of this was brought to David, who gathered the Israelite troops, crossed the Jordan, and met them. David drew up his line of battle, facing the Arameans, and the fighting began. But the Arameans fled before Israel, and David killed 7,000 of their chariot teams and 40,000 foot soldiers. He also killed Shaphat, their general. When the kings who were subject to Hadadezer saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with David and became subject to him. After this, the Arameans refused to give help to the Ammonites. 1 Chronicles chapter 20. At the turn of the year, the time when kings go to war, Joab set out with the army to invade the land of the Ammonites and went to lay siege to Rabbah. David, however, remained in Jerusalem. Joab attacked Rabbah and destroyed it. David took the gold crown from the head of the Ammonite idol, Milcom. They found that it weighed about 75 pounds. In it was set a precious stone, which made an ornament for David's head. He carried off a great quantity of loot from the town. He brought away its population and set them to work with saws, iron picks, and axes. David treated all the Ammonite towns in the same way. Then David and the whole army returned to Jerusalem. After this, war broke out again with the Philistines at Gezer. This was when Sibbecai of Hushah killed Sippai, a descendant of Rephaim. The Philistines were defeated. War with the Philistines broke out again. And Elhanan, son of Jair, killed Lahmi, the brother of Goliath of Gath, the shaft of whose spear was as thick as a weaver's beam. There was another battle at Gath, where there was a giant with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. He too was a descendant of Rephaim. He defied Israel, and Jonathan, son of David's brother Shimeiah, killed him. These men were descended from Rephaim of Gath, and they were killed by David and his gods. 1 Chronicles chapter 21. Satan wanted to bring trouble on the people of Israel, and so he made David take a census of the Israelites. David said to Joab and to the senior army officers, "Go and take a census of Israel from Beersheba to Dan, then come back that I may know their number." Joab said, "May Yahweh multiply the people 100 times. My Lord King, are they not all your servants? Why do you want to do this? Will you bring guilt upon Israel?" But the king enforced his order on Joab, and Joab went away, traveling through the whole country of Israel before he returned to Jerusalem. Joab gave David the figures for the census of the people. The whole of Israel numbered 1,100,000 men capable of drawing sword, and Judah 420,000 capable of drawing sword. But Joab disapproved of the king's command, and because of this he had not taken any census of Levi or of Benjamin. God looked with displeasure on what had been done, and so he began to punish Israel. Then David said to God, "I have sinned greatly by doing this, but now I beg you to forgive me for this fault. I have been very foolish." Then Yahweh spoke to Gad, David's prophet, "Go and say to David, Yahweh says this, I offer you 3 things. Choose one of them for me to do to you." So Gad went to David and said, "Yahweh says this, take your choice. 3 years of famine, 3 months running away from the armies of your enemies, or 3 days of Yahweh's own sword, an epidemic in your land, with Yahweh's destroying angel bringing death throughout Israel. Now decide how I am to answer him who sends me." David said to Gad, "This is a hard choice, but let me rather fall into the power of Yahweh, since his mercy is very great, and not into the power of men." So Yahweh sent an epidemic on Israel, and 70,000 men of the Israelites died. God sent the angel to Jerusalem to destroy it, but as he was about to destroy it, Yahweh looked and changed his mind. And he said to the destroying angel, "Enough, now withdraw your hand." The angel of Yahweh was standing beside the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. David saw the angel of Yahweh standing between the heavens and earth with a naked sword in his hand, ready to destroy Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell on their faces, and David prayed to God, "Was it not I who sinned by ordering this wicked census? But this flock, what have they done? Yahweh my God, let your hand lie heavy on me and on my family, but let your people escape the plague." The angel of Yahweh then said to Gad, "David must go up and build an altar to Yahweh on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite." So David obeyed the command which God had spoken in the name of Yahweh. Now Ornan, as he turned, had seen the angel and had hidden with his 4 sons. Ornan was threshing wheat when David came to him. When Ornan looked up and saw David coming, he left the threshing floor and with his face to the ground did homage to David. Then David said to Ornan, "Sell me your threshing floor to build an altar to Yahweh. Let me have it at its full price, that the plague may be turned away from the people." "Take it," Ornan said to David, "and let my lord the king do as he thinks right. Look, I will give you the oxen for burnt offerings, the threshing sled for the wood, and the wheat for the grain offering. I give them all." But King David said to Ornan, "No, I must buy it from you at the full price. I will not take for Yahweh what is yours, or offer burnt offerings that cost me nothing." So David gave Ornan 600 gold coins for the threshing place. David built an altar there to Yahweh and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. He called on Yahweh, and Yahweh answered him with fire from heaven on the altar for burnt offerings, and ordered the angel to put his sword away. Then David saw that Yahweh had answered him on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. So he kept on offering sacrifices there. The holy tent of Yahweh that Moses had made in the wilderness, and the altar for burnt offerings were at that time at the high place at Gibeon, but David had not been able to go there before God to consult him, so fearful was he of the sword of the angel of Yahweh. 1 Chronicles chapter 22. Then David said, "Here is where the temple of Yahweh God will be, and this is where the people of Israel are to offer burnt offerings." David gave orders to gather all the strangers living in the land of Israel, and he set stone cutters to prepare stone blocks for building the temple of God. David furthermore stored up great quantities of iron to make nails for the wooden gates and for clamps, and more bronze than could be weighed. Logs of cedar too, beyond number. The Sidonians and Tyrians have brought cedar logs to David in great quantities. Then David said, My son Solomon is young and inexperienced, and the temple to be built for Yahweh must be of great splendor and famous for its magnificence in every country. I will make preparations for him. And so, before he died, David laid away large amounts of the materials needed. He then sent for his son Solomon and instructed him to build a temple for Yahweh, the God of Israel. My son, my heart was set on building a temple for the name of Yahweh my God. But Yahweh told me, You have shed much blood and fought great battles. It is not for you to build a temple for my name, since you have shed so much blood on the earth in my presence. But now a son is born to you. He shall be a man of peace, and I will give him peace from all the enemies that surround him. For Solomon is his name, and in his days I will give Israel peace and quiet. He shall build a temple for my name. He shall be a son to me, and I a father to him. His dynasty will rule Israel forever. Now, my son, may Yahweh be with you and give you success in building a temple for Yahweh your God, as he has said concerning you. Yet, may he give you insight and wisdom so that you may govern Israel according to his law. Success will be yours if you carefully observe the statutes and the ordinances that Yahweh has prescribed to Moses for Israel. Be strong and stand fast. Be fearless, be confident. Poor as I am, I have set aside for the temple of Yahweh 4,000 tons of gold and nearly 40,000 tons of silver, and more bronze and iron than can be weighed. I have stored up wood and stone too, to which you must add more. You will have many workmen, stone cutters, masons, carpenters, skilled artisans of every kind, while your supply of gold and silver, bronze and iron will be unlimited. Set to work then, and may Yahweh be with you. David then commanded all the Israelite leaders to help his son Solomon. Is not Yahweh your God with you? He has given you peace on all sides, since he has let me conquer all the people who lived in this land, and the land has been subdued for Yahweh and for his people. So now devote heart and soul to the search for Yahweh your God. Begin to build the sanctuary of Yahweh your God, so that the ark of the covenant of Yahweh and the holy things of God may be brought to the temple that is built for the name of Yahweh.